What do you think a truly intelligent person looks like? Is it someone who always holds a thick book in their hands, accompanied by thoughts and actions that go against the crowd? Or perhaps it's someone who can speak eloquently in front of an audience, or even someone who prefers to remain silent, letting their actions speak louder than words. In today's video, we'll reveal 7 signs of a secretly intelligent person, according to the timeless principles of Stoic philosophy. These signs aren't about how many books you've read or how well you can impress others with your knowledge. Instead, they focus on the quiet power within, how you think, act, and respond to the world around you. Stoicism teaches us the importance of emotional control, strength and resilience, and the pursuit of inner peace. It shows us that true intelligence isn't about being the loudest in the room, but about finding clarity in the chaos, staying calm in the storm, and always striving to improve ourselves without the need for constant validation. So, do you recognize any of these signs in yourself? Are you truly the person you think you are? Stick around, because towards the end, we'll dive into how you can practically apply Stoic teachings to master these qualities and unlock your full potential. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit like and subscribe to Stoic Narratives Official for more powerful lessons. And don't forget to share your stories in the comments below. Let's grow together in wisdom and strength. Number 1. Thinking and acting differently. A secretly intelligent person often stands apart from the crowd. They are not swayed by popular opinion, nor do they follow the trends simply because others do. Instead, their thoughts and actions reflect a deep commitment to personal growth and self-awareness. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Such individuals are willing to question everything, even the norms that others blindly follow. They challenge the status quo and are not afraid to express ideas that differ from the prevailing thought. This kind of intellectual independence is a hallmark of true intelligence. A mind that questions, reflects, and seeks deeper understanding is the one that grows and evolves, not one that simply repeats what it has been told. I am reminded of a close friend of mine from university. He was always a thinker, someone who didn't accept things at face value. He had a relentless curiosity and an inquisitive mind that didn't just settle for the obvious. In every class, while most students quietly took notes and followed the lecture, he would ask questions that caught everyone's attention. He didn't just accept the professor's statements without questioning them. He wanted to understand the why behind every fact, every theory, every claim. In one of our philosophy classes, the professor discussed the ideas of several famous thinkers, presenting their arguments as though they were absolute truths. The rest of us nodded along, assuming these well-known ideas were beyond dispute. But he raised his hand, and instead of just accepting the information, he asked a thought-provoking question. How can we be sure that these ideas are still relevant in the context of our modern society? Can we apply them to current issues, or have we outgrown them? The room fell silent. At first, some of the other students looked at him as if he were challenging something sacred. It wasn't that he didn't respect the ideas or the professor's knowledge, but his question invited us all to look at things from a different perspective. The professor, slightly taken aback, paused for a moment before engaging in a discussion that we had never anticipated. The debate that followed was lively, and even the professor acknowledged how the question had led to a richer exploration of the topic. His question wasn't just a challenge for the sake of disagreement, it was an invitation to think critically, step beyond the surface, and dive deeper into the essence of the subject. At the time, it felt uncomfortable. It was easy to accept the lecture without thinking too much about it, but his willingness to think differently made all of us, including the professor, reconsider our assumptions. His intellectual curiosity forced everyone to re-examine their understanding, and in doing so, the class became more engaging, richer in its analysis, and far more valuable. This is the essence of thinking and acting differently. It's not about being contrarian for the sake of argument, but about pushing the boundaries of conventional thought to gain new insights. A person who thinks like this is not just repeating what they have been taught, they are creating new pathways of understanding, often challenging themselves and others to see the world from a fresh perspective. The Stoic philosophers exemplified this trait. They were not content with the conventional wisdom of their time. They questioned, challenged, and sought to understand not only the world around them, but their own place in it. For example, Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, often reminded his followers that true wisdom was not in knowing what others know, but in knowing yourself deeply and acting according to that understanding. He famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." True intelligence, therefore, isn't about merely accumulating knowledge. It's about using that knowledge to shape your understanding, to question the assumptions that others might take for granted, and to carve your own path through the complexities of life. Like him, those who are truly intelligent will not shy away from asking the hard questions, the ones that make others uncomfortable. They know that only through these questions can we find deeper truths. So the next time you find yourself in a conversation or learning environment, ask yourself, are you simply accepting what's being said, or are you questioning, challenging, and thinking critically? True intelligence is about having the courage to think differently and act on those thoughts, even if it means standing alone. It's about finding clarity in a world full of noise and knowing that the path to wisdom is often paved with discomfort and doubt. Number 2. Challenges in love. It's not uncommon for highly intelligent individuals to face challenges in relationships, especially when it comes to matters of the heart. They often approach love and intimacy with the same rationality and analytical thinking that governs every other aspect of their lives. But as the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This perspective, while valuable in many aspects of life, can create tension when applied to relationships. People with a sharp intellect often struggle to reconcile their emotions with their logical thought processes. For them, love and affection are not mere expressions of feeling. They are complex puzzles to be solved. They tend to seek clarity in their relationships, preferring to understand their own emotions and those of others rather than simply experiencing them. The challenge lies in balancing the head and the heart, a struggle that can leave them feeling distant, misunderstood, or even detached. I recall a time when a close friend of mine, let's call him Mark, found himself at a crossroads in his relationship. Mark, a brilliant thinker with an exceptional ability to analyze and dissect even the most intricate of problems, had always approached life with reason. However, when it came to his romantic life, he found himself at a loss. His partner often complained that he wasn't expressive enough with his emotions, that he was too logical and too focused on finding solutions rather than simply being present with her. At first, Mark didn't understand the issue. After all, he loved her deeply and cared for her more than anything. But as he began to reflect on their conversations, he realized that his tendency to analyze everything, his feelings, her feelings, their relationship, was preventing him from truly connecting with her on an emotional level. He was so focused on solving the problem of love that he neglected the simple, yet profound experience of simply feeling it. This, I believe, is a hallmark of the secretly intelligent person. They are so often absorbed in their thoughts, their analysis, and their quest for deeper understanding that they sometimes forget the simple beauty of emotion. In Stoic philosophy, the importance of reason is paramount, but so is the understanding of human nature. Marcus Aurelius taught, the best way to avenge yourself is to not be like that. In this, he meant that it is through understanding and controlling our responses, not denying our feelings, that we achieve inner peace. For people like Mark, the struggle is real. Intelligence, when it comes to relationships, can sometimes be a double-edged sword. It gives them the ability to understand the intricacies of human emotion, but it also makes them wary of getting too emotionally involved. Stoicism teaches us that we must not become slaves to our emotions, yet it also reminds us that we are not devoid of them. Emotions, when managed properly, can serve as powerful tools for personal growth and connection. So, as you reflect on your own relationships, remember that true intelligence in love is not about analyzing or fixing everything. It's about learning to embrace the vulnerability that comes with being human, the messy, unpredictable emotions that shape our connections with others. As Stoicism teaches us, only by accepting both our intellect and our emotions can we find peace and clarity in all aspects of our lives. Number 3. Embracing chaos. It may sound counterintuitive, but the truly intelligent often thrive in environments that others might find overwhelming or chaotic. These individuals are not bothered by mess. In fact, they find inspiration in the very disorder that others seek to avoid. The chaotic workspace, the cluttered desk, or the messy room can, for them, serve as a fertile ground for creativity and new ideas. This is where the Stoic perspective becomes invaluable. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In this, he teaches us that the obstacles and disarray that life throws at us are not roadblocks. They are opportunities for growth, discovery, and innovation. The intelligent mind, far from being threatened by disorder, sees it as a change with the world in a new and different way. I am reminded of a story about an artist friend of mine, a brilliant but unconventional thinker. His studio was always in a state of disarray. Paintbrushes strewn across the floor, canvases piled up haphazardly, and half-finished works scattered throughout the space. To most, it would seem like an unproductive, chaotic environment. But for him, it was anything but. The mess was his muse. The disorder was where his imagination took flight. At first, I found myself questioning how he could work in such a space. But as time went on, I realized that this disorganized environment was crucial to his process. The clutter didn't stifle his creativity, it ignited it. In the chaos, he found new perspectives and unlocked insights that a perfectly neat and orderly studio would never have allowed. His best work, the pieces that truly defined his creative genius, were born out of moments of disorder and unpredictability. This aligns perfectly with the teachings of Stoicism. While others may view chaos as something to be feared or avoided, the Stoic sees it as an essential part of the human experience, a challenge to embrace, not resist. The chaos we encounter in life often brings the very lessons we need to grow. The Stoic mind does not shy away from discomfort or messiness, but rather sees it as an opportunity to exercise wisdom, resilience, and the ability to adapt. In fact, the most profound ideas often come in moments when things seem most disordered. The great Stoic philosopher Seneca once remarked, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." We are often overwhelmed by the idea of chaos before it even happens, and this fear can prevent us from embracing it. The intelligent person understands this fear, but they do not let it dictate their actions. Instead, they move forward, knowing that disorder will always give way to order in time, if we approach it with the right mindset. So, what can we learn from this? If you find yourself in a period of personal or professional disarray, don't despair. Recognize it as an opportunity to grow and evolve. Let the mess be a catalyst for creativity, a space where new ideas can emerge and flourish. Remember that, as the Stoics would remind us, what stands in the way becomes the way. Embrace the chaos and let it guide you toward new and unexpected insights. This is a lesson I've come to appreciate more as I observe the truly intelligent individuals around me. They don't need perfect conditions to succeed. They simply need the willingness to engage with the world in all its unpredictability and find meaning in the process. Number 4. Empathy. As I mentioned earlier, intelligence is often seen as something dominated by logic and reason, where emotions take a back seat. However, this doesn't mean that intelligent individuals are devoid of empathy. On the contrary, they possess an extraordinary ability to understand and relate to others' feelings, an empathy that is often quiet, subtle, and deeply rooted in their understanding of human nature. The Stoic philosophers, like Seneca, often spoke about the importance of empathy, albeit framed within the context of self-awareness and understanding human suffering. Seneca once said, "We are all like the plants in a garden, dependent on the same elements, the same principles of life." In this, he speaks to the interconnectedness of all people, reminding us that our well-being is not separate from the well-being of others. True intelligence lies in recognizing this unity and responding with care, compassion, and an open heart. I am reminded of a close friend from my early days working in a fast-paced corporate environment. His intellect was undeniable, He had a sharp mind that could quickly analyze problems, break down complex issues, and come up with solutions that others might miss. But what struck me the most about him was how deeply he could listen. No matter how busy or overwhelming the day was, he always made time to hear people out. There was one instance when a colleague was going through a tough time, struggling with personal challenges that affected their work. Most of us, caught up in our own work, could only offer superficial advice or awkward silence. But my friend took the time to sit down, listen, and, without rushing to offer solutions, simply shared his understanding. He didn't judge or try to fix the problem immediately. He just listened. When he did offer advice, it was thoughtful, measured, and rooted in the principles of wisdom, helping our colleague see things from a different, more empowered perspective. This is the essence of empathy in the Stoic tradition. It's not about wearing your emotions on your sleeve, nor is it about responding to every situation with immediate action. It's about creating space to understand, reflect, and offer support from a place of wisdom and calm. For someone who is truly intelligent, this quiet empathy becomes a form of strength, an ability to connect with others without losing oneself in the process. What I've learned from my friend and from the Stoic teachings is that true empathy is not an emotional outburst or a rushed response. It's a deliberate, mindful act of understanding. It requires patience, self-awareness, and above all, the humility to recognize that we do not have all the answers, but we can offer a listening ear and a kind heart. So, in your own life, take a moment to reflect. Are you truly listening when someone reaches out to you? Do you create a space for empathy, allowing others to feel understood and supported? As the Stoics remind us, the ability to connect with others and show genuine empathy is not only a reflection of our intelligence, but also an essential part of our shared humanity. Through empathy, we can forge deeper connections, foster understanding, and build relationships that truly matter. Number 5. Time alone. One of the hallmarks of a secretly intelligent person is their ability to spend time alone. It is not that they shy away from human interaction or avoid others. Rather, they find deep satisfaction in solitude. For them, time alone is not just a luxury, it is a necessity, a sacred space where they can engage deeply. The Stoic philosopher Seneca spoke often of the value of solitude. The greatest remedy for all human ills is to be found in the stillness of the soul. He understood that in the quiet moments of solitude, we can find clarity and insight that is often drowned out by the noise of the world. The intelligent mind, much like the Stoic, does not seek constant external validation. Instead, it draws strength from its own reflection, its own thoughts, and its own quiet pursuits. This idea was beautifully illustrated by a friend of mine who has always been a deeply introspective person. At first, I couldn't understand why he seemed so content to spend hours alone, lost in his thoughts, in books, or in his creative pursuits. He wasn't lonely, but rather he found his energy in these moments of solitude. Whether it was writing, sketching, or simply sitting in silence, he was always immersed in his imagination. I recall one winter evening when he invited me to join him for a long walk in the park. He was known for his quiet, almost contemplative nature, and I often admired his ability to simply be present without needing to fill the air with words. That evening, as we walked under the glow of the streetlights, he shared a thought with me that resonated deeply. He said, "The quietest moments are when I hear my own voice the clearest. The noise of the world drowns out my thoughts. Alone, I can connect with what truly matters to me." What struck me most was not his words, but the profound peace he seemed to exude. For him, solitude wasn't an escape from the world. It was a way to embrace it, to connect with the deeper currents of his soul, and to find meaning in the simplest of moments. This is the gift of intelligent solitude, the ability to listen to the self, to nurture the mind, and to grow in ways that would not be possible in the constant flurry of external demands. The Stoics teach us that solitude is not something to fear or to feel ashamed of. It is in these quiet moments that we can sharpen our minds, strengthen our resolve, and gain the clarity needed to face life's challenges with a calm and rational perspective. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminded us, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. In the stillness, we find our true strength." So I urge you to embrace the quiet moments in your life. Create space for solitude and see it not as isolation, but as a time of reflection and growth. Whether you spend your time in nature, through reading, or in contemplation, remember that this time alone is not just a luxury. It is an essential part of cultivating the mind, the spirit, and the peace within. Just as the Stoics knew, the greatest source of wisdom often arises from our moments of silence and self-reflection. Number 6. The night owl. At first, I believed that intelligence was directly linked to habits of self-care, good sleep, early mornings, and a structured routine. It seemed obvious to me that a sharp mind would require proper rest, and that the key to success was discipline and the energy of the daylight hours. However, I soon learned that many of the most intelligent people I knew didn't fit this neat picture at all. Instead, they were night owls, staying up late, finding clarity and inspiration in the quiet of the dark hours. The Stoic philosophers, in their wisdom, taught us to embrace the cycles of life, recognizing that what works for one person might not be the same for another. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, urged us to understand that the natural world, and indeed our own nature, will always have its rhythms. Accept whatever comes to you, woven in the pattern of your destiny, he wrote. This speaks to the power of aligning ourselves with what feels natural to us, not what society expects or dictates. One person I know, a fellow writer, exemplifies this in a way I'll never forget. He works best late at night. His thoughts, so often clouded during the day by distractions and the weight of others' expectations, seem to clear in the stillness of the evening. It was on one of those late nights that he shared with me how his best ideas always emerge when the world is quiet, when the hum of the day has settled, and his mind is finally free to roam. There's something about the night, he said. It strips away the clutter and lets me see my thoughts clearly. In the silence, I find my truth. At first I was skeptical. How could a person, especially someone so successful, thrive without the usual rhythm of early mornings and productivity? Yet, as I observed him over the years, I began to realize that it wasn't about the time of day. It was about the ability to create a space where one can truly focus, where one can dive deep into the heart of their work, away from the interruptions and noise of the waking world. In the silence of the night, intelligent minds can find their greatest clarity. This is not to say that the Stoics neglected rest or the importance of balance, but rather that they understood the value of time alone, uninterrupted, to dive deeper into one's thoughts. Seneca, too, valued solitude, as he believed that true wisdom often arises when we are undisturbed by the world around us. No man is free who is not master of himself, he wrote, and it is in the quiet moments, whether they come at dawn or dusk, that we often achieve this mastery. So if you find yourself awake in the quiet hours of the night, do not see it as a weakness or a deviation from the norm. Like those who have come before you, recognize the power in those moments of stillness. They are not wasted hours. They are opportunities for reflection, creation, and discovery. As the Stoics remind us, wisdom comes not from conforming to a prescribed path, but from understanding our own nature and embracing what works best for us. Number 7. Humility. In a world that often values outward success and loud proclamations of achievement, the truly intelligent person knows that humility is a quiet yet profound strength. It is not about diminishing one's worth or hiding away in self-doubt. Rather, it is the ability to remain grounded, to understand the limits of one's knowledge, and to continually seek improvement without the need for external validation. The Stoics, in their infinite wisdom, emphasized humility as one of the core virtues. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic minds, wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." In this, he reminds us that true wisdom is not about arrogance or self-promotion, but about recognizing the depth of what we don't know and remaining open to learning. Humility allows the intelligent person to accept their imperfections, acknowledge that there is always room for growth, and see every moment as an opportunity for learning. I once had the privilege of meeting an elderly professor who exemplified this quiet humility. He was a leading scholar in his field, with decades of research and expertise behind him. Yet when you spoke with him, there was no sense of superiority, no rush to prove himself. Instead, he listened carefully, reflecting on your words before offering his insights. His demeanor was calm, respectful, and above all, humble. He never spoke of his accomplishments, and when asked about his work, he would often say, "There is still so much to learn." What struck me most was not his vast knowledge, but the grace with which he carried it. Despite his success, he never saw himself as above anyone else. He was always eager to hear new ideas, even from students or those just beginning in the field. To him, intelligence was not something to flaunt. It was something to share, cultivate, and continuously nurture. This lesson in humility resonates deeply within the Stoic tradition. Seneca, another pillar of Stoic thought, warned against the dangers of pride. He reminded us that it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Humility, for the Stoics, was not a passive virtue, but one that actively shaped how we approached life. By remaining humble, we open ourselves up to the infinite potential for learning and self-improvement, free from the burdens of pride and arrogance. The truly intelligent person understands this principle. They know that wisdom is not a destination, but a journey, one that requires constant reflection, growth, and the acceptance that we will never have all the answers. Humility is not about belittling oneself. It is about recognizing our place in the world and embracing the humility that comes from knowing we are always learning. So, in your own life, consider how you approach your successes. Are you proud but open to the wisdom of others, or do you let your accomplishments define you? True strength lies in humility, the ability to recognize our worth without needing to assert it, the willingness to listen and learn, and the quiet courage to remain grounded no matter how high we rise. In the end, it is not our ego that will define us, but our ability to grow and evolve in humility and wisdom. As we conclude, it's clear that intelligence is not defined by outward displays or loud assertions of knowledge. True intelligence, as we've explored, resides in quiet strength, the ability to think differently, embrace solitude, show empathy, and remain humble in the face of success. These are the hallmarks of a secretly intelligent person, one who follows the Stoic principles of self-control, emotional resilience, and inner peace. Stoicism teaches us that the pursuit of wisdom is not about collecting facts or mastering every subject, but about understanding the nature of our own minds and emotions. It is through this deep understanding that we can grow, learn, and thrive. In embracing these Stoic virtues, we gain the clarity to navigate life's complexities with grace and wisdom. So the next time you find yourself facing a challenge, remember that intelligence isn't just about what you know. It's about how you approach life with a clear, calm, and reflective mind. Embrace your uniqueness, trust your inner wisdom, and always strive for growth. We would love to hear your thoughts and experiences. How do you identify the signs of a secretly intelligent person in your own life? Share your stories in the comments below. Let's continue to grow together in wisdom and resilience. Thank you for joining us in this exploration of Stoic wisdom. Stay tuned for more insightful lessons on Stoicism and personal growth.